You both mentioned him already, but Gareth Southgate. It feels strange when you see him as the England manager and think that's my old captain at the Boro. He's now the England manager. Stewart, what did you? Does it feel that he was always going to be a manager? I always thought he was going to be a manager.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. I think he was like a manager when he played. To be honest, with the young lads, if we left out or didn't play well, I think he'd be talk to you. He had managerial things about him when he played, and he kept everyone in line, even the big players. And people think he's dead nice, Gareth. He's a lovely fella. Yeah, like obviously he speaks well and he's nice, but he could tell people if he had to. He had a ruthless streak. I remember him shouting at players, big players, in the dressing room. And so he definitely had that side to him. It's just that you don't really see it. And I was surprised, obviously, the time and when he became a manager, because, like you say, he finished the UEFA Cup final, and then 3 weeks later, I remember we were out in the World Cup. He rang me and said, "I've got the job." And he was after Julio Argos, his first signing. And it was like, well, 3 weeks ago, you were like playing with me. This is going to be a bit weird. But I think if you look back at it now, what was he, 35, 36? He transitioned from a player to manager, and how he did, I thought was unbelievable, to be honest. I'm trying to picture myself now leaving, coming out of retirement and going into a job 3 weeks later to say, manage Macca and Dava, and then people thinking, how would you handle that when you played with your mates? You know, he had to let people down. I mean, he's very close with George. George ended up leaving in the end, didn't he, for Duke? Because all these people are all his mates.
Mendy, he pushed out.
Well, that's what I mean. He had to make big decisions, and I think he handled it, you know, when you look back, very, very well. It was unbelievable transition, really.
Would you think there's any merits in that he was too nice in those early days?
I don't think he was, like Stewie said, he was a nice person, but he also had that ruthless side to him where he could lose his head and he could tell people straight, and he wasn't frightened to stand up, and no matter who it was, whether it was a young lad or a big seasoned pro, he would hammer someone. Like I said, the transition, it all happened really quickly, and he's gone from being our captain to then being the manager, and you're like, oh. For us, it was strange as well as players at the time.
It was, yeah.
Because, like I said, he's gone from being everyone's mate to now having to make them big decisions. And to be fair, he made some big decisions with the captaincy with George and things like that, and getting rid of players, and probably getting rid of players who lads thought, oh, I'll be all right, because they were close to him. But he's now the manager, and he has to make the decisions for the team, for the football club, and like I say, he made them, but I think he handled it well.
He's almost like, his personality is almost a perfect fit, really, for being the national team manager. I think he doesn't have to deal with trying to bring players on and players who don't fancy playing or want to transfer. He's looking after really good players who want to play their best. And
yeah. He's still got to make big decisions, hasn't he? If you think, like, look at his front line: Sancho, Kane, Sterling, Rashford. I mean, off the top of my head there. So you're thinking 3 players. Say there's 8 players, only 3 can play. So I think in a way he still has to make big decisions. You know,
Rooney. He didn't pick Rooney.
Yes, I mean, and don't get me wrong, Dave. Everyone wants to play for England, so that's half the battle straight away. He doesn't have to think, oh well, you know, this is going to be tough. They all want to go, they all want to play, and all want to do well. So that bit he's got right, but then he still has to make big decisions. Like I say, keepers how many keepers could he pick from? He has to make one decision. So I still think that's big decision for me.
I guess, I mean, he was the one that I always think about, and you know, I think he probably acted in the only way he could in the end, was that Yakubu, when Yak was, you know, a fantastic player in his day, but when he decided he wanted to leave, we all remember the day at Wigan. When he decided to down tools. And he was gone in a week.
Yeah, got rid of him. That's what you got to do for players. I think. Don't get me wrong, he was probably our best player at the time, goal scorer, but he didn't want to be there. He wanted to go to a bigger club, so-called Everton. What do you do if he's going to walk around and it's going to cost us maybe a relegation? You have to sell up, get a good price for him, move on, and bring someone else in. That's what he did. That's what I'm saying. He could make ruthless decisions if he had to, and that's what I'm saying. The transition he did of, you know, he played with Yak for many years, so. He didn't hesitate to just think, right, he's doing the team injustice. He's letting us down. Let's get rid of him.
Funny enough, talking of Yak, I mean, there we go. Laid back players, laid back personalities. Was there anyone more laid back than Yak and that penalty style?
Unbelievable, he was.
Good lad, wasn't he?
Yeah, great lad. He didn't do one extra bit of training. By the time we'd gone up after training, he'd be showered and gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
You never ever seen him after training once. We'd be
now
all
I see him doing loads of running and all that, like keeping fit, and you think, why did you do that when you played?
Yeah, on his Instagram, that's the fittest I've ever seen him. Unbelievable.
I mean, he was one of those. He had that rocket shot, and a sudden burst of pace that did it for him, didn't it? Maybe he felt he didn't need to train too hard.
Great story about I wish Davo was here now. You remember we played Leicester at home? Not Leicester. Where he went to Leicester? Was it Leicester?
He did go to Leicester.
It was Leicester.
He did go to Leicester back in, yeah.
And he scored. We were playing, and that was like, "Don't worry, I've got Yakubu today, lads. I've got him. I know what he doesn't like. I know what he doesn't like." All the time he's going on and on and on. Yakubu scored a hat-trick.
Was that for Bradford City?
No, that was for Middlesbrough. He scored against Middlesbrough.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
wow.
Did, yeah.
It was for Leicester. It was Leicester, and it was at the Riverside. Sure, it was.
So, I mean, there's so many good players, and another of the big characters was that was a life and soul type of guy was George Boateng. And
I spoke to George a couple of weeks ago at Blackburn.
You were with him?
So I signed in the summer, and then I seen him. He was coaching our under 14s, if I'm right, with Kevin Sheedy. Remember him?
Yeah.
And I was walked in, and looking across the pitches, thinking that can't be George Boateng. Spitting double of him. Anyway, he's turning around, he's seeing me, that big smile he's got, and he's like, waving anyway.
Yeah.
I got chatting to him. I was like, "How are you doing?" And I've always kept in contact with George, texts and all that, but he never ever said he was at Blackburn. And he said, "Oh yeah, he's obviously doing his badges." And then, sorry, I just felt that. He's
fallen down for a second, Stewart.
I know. He's gone to Aston Villa now, hasn't he? I think as reserve coach, if I'm right.
Yeah.
So,
like what was he like? He was always that big smiling character, wasn't he?
Good lad, wasn't he? Good lad, strong as an ox.
Brilliant.
Like great team player. Like he was underrated really, but he was quite good on the ball as well. A lot of people didn't think that, but he could pass, he could keep the ball. And it was sad that obviously in the end he left on maybe not very good terms with Gareth and the club, but he was a great servant for us. What was he, £6 million? Played nearly every game, played through injuries, tough as hell, and like I say, he was a good lad. I thought he was a good captain and a good lad.
Yeah, he was top man with all the young lads as well.
Smartest dressed man I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. Shirt and trousers, jeans every day.
Every day, immaculate.
Wasn't he?
Brilliant.
No, what I remember about him is he had the biggest car I've ever seen. Big, massive Hummer that literally had to climb across to get in.
He liked these finer things, George, didn't he?
He loved his cars.
He definitely did. He liked his cars. Right, on the other end of the scale, there was a very quiet lad. And I think I'm right in saying he was quite religious, Doriva.
Oh, nice
the least Brazilian ever, but a great player and a lovely lad, wasn't he?
Great fella. So nice. And I'm sure still to this day, they stitched me up when they put me in a room with him.
He tried, is it right, Macca, that he tried to convert you to Catholicism, is it?
He tried to convert me into thing. So I've gone down. So we go into the room, we get there in the afternoon, go in, and he's trying to convert me. He's this and this. So I'm like thinking, I just want to watch the telly. I just want to chill out. I just want to like ring people, have a bit of banter. Go down, tell the lads at dinner. So he's still eating because like he was chatting and he's slow. So I remember going up early, getting in my bed, getting a shower, getting into bed, teeth brush ready. As soon as he came in, pretended I was asleep. Had the earliest night I've ever had before a game, just so I didn't have to speak to him.
Remember, he used to tickle your ears every day and every morning. He was like your dad. He was like, "All right, morning, son," and like nice man in the world.
Like touch her and like.
Do you remember that time, Macca, he had to go at you in Germany in that game? Remember the only time he ever lost his head. Remember in Germany when you shouted to him, "Pass me the ball," and he didn't
yeah.
Remember when I said to you after the game, "What happened there with Doriva?" Jesus.
I'd never heard him speak, and he went absolutely off it.
He went mental, and we were all like, "Whoa!"
You must have deserved it, Macca.
He only said, "Pass me the ball."
So he said, "Pass me the ball," and he wasn't having it.
But I think he found out I was asleep when he was trying to turn me to God.
That might have just done it, yeah. But also probably one of the most underrated Boro players of that era, especially because I still recall. I think it was his first full season when full of big names, and who was the player of the year? But Doriva. And
Doriva, yeah.
Like some of the fans were going, "You what?" But Doriva, he was clearly a players player, especially.
It's because them players go unnoticed, don't they? That's like George. I said he does a lot of work for the team that people think, well, that's his job sort of thing, and they just want the flair players, like you said, Janino, the Badukas. But you think Doriva and George, 8, 9 out of 10 every week, they're there when the team's not doing well. They're still, where flair players might have the odd off game, and them players are there every week, and that's why, I think them lads are more appreciated by probably the managers and the team lads, the teammates, than they are probably by the crowd.
Yeah, you talk about team players, and them two are ideal team players. They didn't get any of the limelight. They hardly scored any goals, not many. But lads that you need in your team, and lads that done the other side of it all the time, to give the flair players further forward the chance to go and win the game. But they were unsung heroes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Another lad that I always remember, we've talked about the young lads, the local lads that came in, but there was another young lad that came in. Stewart, I know you've definitely played with him. He might have been a bit too Tony, you might have been too young coming through, but Carlos Marinelli, a player that looked like he could be, he was unfortunately dubbed the next Maradona. And I saw some things in training that I couldn't believe what this piece of skill. Unfortunately, he didn't fulfil the potential, did he? And he ended up travelling the world, playing for, I think, about 30 different teams. Well, I mean, what do you think of Marinelli when you think back, Stewart?
I remember that game when they came in and Julio, didn't it, for the Boca team? And obviously, Sunderland got Julio, we got Carlos. I mean, the first time I seen him, I was thinking, wow, he's like probably one of the most talented players I've ever seen. He was all left foot, but for 17-year-old, he was doing things, like you said, against first-team players that basically taking the mick out of him. I remember Colin Cooper and people like that said, like, if he can get it right, his head, he could go anywhere. He was fun. Honestly, he was unbelievable. But did he have the worth ethic for the Premier League? Probably not. He wouldn't track back. It wasn't his game, and Steve McMahon was never going to play him because you had to work for Macca and Steve McMahon, like you say, us wingers, we weren't just wingers. We had to get back into shape and work off the ball and that. And I think he thought, well, this is not, my game. This is not where I played. Brian Robson struggled to get him in. He probably would have been suited more to Spain, I think, or the South American leagues where he could play with more flair, more freedom. He needed freedom. He was never going to play on the wing. And Steve McMahon at that time was playing like a 4-5-1, 4-4-2. Never really going to find him, but what unbelievable talent.
I still remember him like standing 10 yards away from whoever had the ball, saying, "Give it to me," even though he was marked and not trying to lose his marker or anything like that. He obviously just thought, well, I'll beat the player if you just give it to me. But clearly it just didn't. People would look at him and say, well, I'm not passing to you, you're marked. I think the work rate wasn't quite there. Sorry?
Julio was more like an English player. He had great skill. Julio could tackle. He'd run back. He could mix it as well as play with flair, and he could play in different. So, that was the difference. Carlos had all the talent, and probably more than Julio. Julio was a very talented player, but he had more probably the better player of the two. But obviously, Julio was more suited to the English league, I thought.
I think he bought into it better, didn't he, Julio? When he went there, and
he's a Macam now, isn't he?
What fans want to see as well. Hey?
He's half Macam, isn't he? His accent's
he is. That's what he was like. But Marinelli, some of the stuff he used to do in training was unbelievable. Reserve games and that. You used to look at him thinking, wow. But it was just the other side with him. It was just like Stewie said, the work. He didn't work harder than other players in the team. And like I say, he was never going to get that chance because in the first team, to play regular, because the manager couldn't rely on him because you didn't know what you were going to get from him. One day could be unbelievable. The next day, you wouldn't get anything out of him. So
he never seemed happy to me. That's what I think when I think back of Carlos Marinelli, he never looked happy off the pitch.
Walk around,
yeah. That's the impression I got, David. It was like he come and it was like, did he really want to be here? Did the football? But it was strange because, like you say, he had unbelievable talent. But I think he maybe lost a bit of confidence, thinking, I'm not really going to play. And I think he was fighting to leave, and they couldn't leave because obviously they paid a big fee for him at his age, didn't they? But he thought he should have been in the first team as soon as he come over to 17 because he had that much talent. I think he was looking at players in the first team thinking, I'm better than them, which he probably was. But at that time, like I said, if you're not going to work and you're not going to fight, Middlesbrough weren't the type of player to carry someone like him. You had to work and work for you know, to get points, and especially away from home, he's not going to do that shit for you.
I still remember Mark Proctor coming into my office one day and he says, Carlos Marinelli, the day in training, just been to see the gaffer, and I've told him he needs to be in the first team on Saturday. He is turning top players inside out, doing things I didn't think were possible with the ball. And I asked him about a year later, it might have been less than a year. And I said, hey, what about Carlos? What's happening? And he went, nah, not going to happen, mate. Not going to happen. And he'd gone from so excited to basically disappointed and written him off in a year.
I think that's the view of everyone that's seen him train on a regular basis. Everyone was like, wow, he can play, he's got talent, unbelievable. But then towards the end, you were disappointed because you thought, well, you've got all that talent, and you're not doing anything with it. You're not working hard enough. You're not, and it's a shame.
He's had 30 clubs, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that's the reason why. Like you said, he's had more clubs than Tiger.
Yes, he definitely has. The other player that I always think back and think, actually, I don't think you want to be here. And he did do a lot better than Carlos on his day. He had some great days. Fabio Rochemback, who I never thought he looked. And I think, did you wish Douala was coming, or did you sign and think Douala was coming? It was going to be 2 a year, but he just didn't seem happy to me. I don't know. Was he different in the dressing room? Did you find him different from that?
He was alright. I think Fabio was a decent lad.
He was quite a good lad, to be fair. And him and Alves, they got on well. They were lively when they got together in the change room.
I think when he came, do you remember when he played against us? He played like a whole midfield and he was unbelievable. The beat was 4-0 in a friendly. And I was thinking, we won't be getting in. No way. And he came. And we played him as a number 10. And I'm thinking, why didn't we just play him as a whole midfield? And he wasn't never suited at number 10. So he started a bit slow, didn't he? And then once he went into centre midfield with Julio and then whether it was George, he was good, wasn't he? He was a good player.
And he signed off in that famous 8-1 win over Man City with that rocket free kick. You scored not a bad one in that game as well, I seem to remember.
That was on the other day. It was on Sky Sports the other day. Did you see that?
I seen it, yeah, actually.
Yeah, it was on. It was class.
But unfortunately, a lot of his shots had ended up in Rose Ed in the 3 previous years, haven't they?
Yeah.
he liked
that bit.
Shot. To be fair.
Say again, Macca.
Few of his free kicks and that are in the River Tees, just floating along.
Long man.
And then mine.
Right, now, I've got to ask you about, you touched on Steve McLaren, and he gave you both, he had the faith in you and gave you a first-team chance and everything. But, and I guess you'll want to pay a bit of tribute to him, but I also think you'll want to pay tribute to people that people know about, that Dave Parnaby must have been influenced for both of you. Perhaps Ron Bourne, Mark Proctor. Macca, you start. Who were having the influence on you when you were 16, 17, coming through at that age before you got the first team?
I think all of them that you just said. Obviously, Dave. Can't speak highly enough of Dave. Dave was like the father figure to everyone. He was the silent one in the background. Proc was the fiery one who would let me know. Yeah, he would hammer you. But
Proc was the fiery one.
Oh, Proc was.
I thought he was a lovely lad.
Proc was on another level. I remember a great story about Proc, and I told it loads of times about when he got me in. He got me in and at the start of the season, well, just before the end of the season, he told me I was going to get released in about 6 months if I didn't start working hard. And I was thinking, doing all right here. I'm training with the first team. I'm hopefully going to get my debut soon. I was thinking, I was like, are you sure, Proc, or what? And he's like, you know what you like as a young lad? Are you sure, Proc, or what? And he's like, yeah, I'm sure. You'll be released. I'm telling you. He started going mad, and I'm thinking, I'm going, in the end, I was like, nah, you're wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. He went, well, what you sat there for? Go on, go and prove me then. Go and say it. And I thought, come out. And I was like, half confused. I was thinking, he's miles off him. What's he talking about? And I remember come back and Proc went to Darlow and spoke about my debut. I made my debut. And after that game, I rang him. I rang Proc and thanked him. And maybe if he didn't have that chat, then who knows? Would I have
the psychology?
Yeah, looking back, that's what he's done. Yeah, he thought, well, yeah, he's close. But did I, like I said, I thought I was close to being in and around it anyway. So he just gave me that little push that maybe I needed. And like I say, I look back at that, and I think that was a turning point, because then I went away and I got myself super fit, and I came back, and then I was right in amongst it. And then I made my debut in the October.
You actually rang him to thank him. I thought you were going to ring him and saying, "I told you I wasn't crap."
No, I rang him to thank him and said, like, thanks for that chat. Because from that day on, he pulled me about a month after and said, like, keep going, you're doing well, like, you're getting there, you're getting close, blah blah blah. But he wasn't the one for loads of praise, Proc. He used to keep pushing you and pushing you. He knew what buttons to press, didn't he? And he was just like, he knew how to get the best out of you. And like I say, that chat went a long way to me making my debut, I think.
What about yourself, Stewart? Who were the people that you look back on and think you really helped me, become the player I was?
Well, at the start, it was Proc. I remember he used to drive me in, Proc, because he was at Martin, I was at Pally Park. He used to pick me up and drop me. So
we've lost you again, Stewart.
If he'd rollicked me one day and we were driving home in the car, the first 20 minutes was a bit frosty. Then he'd like just turn around and go, "You today?" See, it worked when I shouted. The second half, he was better. He did it. He just, like Mac said, he knew what buttons to press. And when he shouted at me, it used to annoy me. And I used to think, right. Like, I didn't sink like under and think, oh, and get scared. I just think, like, I'm gonna play well because I'm sick of him shouting at me.
Yeah.
And then like he'd just laugh about it in the car, and whereas I'd be still fuming. Do you know what I mean? But he was class because he could have banter proper, but he knew, like, obviously the serious and when oh God. Sorry, lads. Where Dave, like Macca said, he was more talkative person. He wasn't really a shouter. He was more of an encourager. So they worked quite well together.
Yeah, he was a brilliant talker, Dave. Dave knew, like, he was dead calm the way he was. Like, you've seen him loads of times around the building. He just used to walk and dead laid back character. But Dave had a fiery side, but you'd have
Rarely want it.
Yeah, you'd have to do something really bad for Dave to lose it. But obviously, the job he's done and the players he's nurtured through to the first team is unbelievable. His record, and he's another one, like, he doesn't really like all the praise, and he just sits in the background. And I did I was watching his webinar last 2 weeks ago. He'd done a webinar, and it was like 2.5 hours long, but you could have sat there and listened to him all day. And you could see it. He never. They were asking him about the job he'd done, blah blah blah, and it was never what he'd done. It was all about we as a team, we as a staff. It was never him. But he obviously has got to take loads of credit. But Dave, being Dave, didn't like him taking any credit, and it was always what he created was we. So just speaking volumes of the fella that he is.